Okay, so we have a new speaker, and it's the same shape and size of our previous speaker, but there's something a little bit different about this one. This one has an auxiliary in, which allows for a different kind of setup. So we're going to look at this different setup compared to the last video. If you didn't see my last video, well, maybe I'll include it in the link. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe. I need to get like 400 more subscribers before YouTube actually starts paying me any money. So, I mean, it's not a big deal, but if you don't mind subscribing, that'd be awesome. Okay, so here's our setup. We have our laptop, and what we've done is we've just went from the laptop microphone jack with a 1/8 jack here, and we've plugged that in. Okay, and we've gone from the laptop to our mixer with the same jack. This has an adapter on it, but it's still a 1/8. This is the 1/8, and this is the 1/4 adapter. And we have this put on the mixer's insert. Okay, so I'll put that back in there. So it's all these channels, they're all input channels. So anything you plug into these, you want the mixer to communicate out. So all these channels here, you know, we got 10 of them. Anything you plug into them, you control the channels. These are all inputs. Our outputs is this little section right here. Anything we plug in here outputs to a source, typically a speaker, of course, right? Okay, so we have our computer plugged in here. So anything we do on this channel is controlled from this channel. We have our microphone here. Here's our microphone. You can hear it. And it's plugged into our Xlr plug-in at the top. It says mic. Okay, you can plug in multiple microphones. For each microphone you plug in, of course, you can control it via the channel you plugged it into. Make sure your levels are up. Okay, so you can hear your microphone and you're good to go. Okay, so we have our computer plugged in here. You can use this same connection for an iPhone, iPad, any kind of phone really. You could even plug your iPod or whatever you want to plug into this, and it'll communicate whatever you're playing to the mixer. So now to get it out of the mixer, we need to go to our outputs. This little section here is for our outputs. You see I have this Xlr. The Xlr is definitely better if you want better quality sound. But today we're looking at this different speaker, and we're looking at our auxiliary in input, right? So if we pull this out, we see this is just like the jack that's in our computer. This is a 1/8 jack, and it's in stereo because you see it has 2 stripes on it. Okay, so let's put that in our speaker's input. And the other end of that cable, let's remove this Xlr for now. The other end of this cable is coming out of our mixer. Okay? So all these things going in all these channels, we got our laptop, we got our microphone, all these things going in all these channels communicate to the mixer and come out of the mixer via either the Xlr, which is our little 3 pins here, or we can use our inserts. So remember when I said earlier that we had plugged this into our insert? We have it coming out of our insert. So again, all these channels are in. Anything here is going into the mixer. Anything over here in this little corner here is going out of the mixer. Anything communicated to the mixer comes from here and goes out to your speaker so you can hear it. So let's go back again. I'm sorry if I'm going over this again and again because I do get a lot of questions about this, and I'm really hoping to be clear here. I'm with my iPhone, and it's, you know, it can be a little challenging holding a phone and explaining things at the same time. Okay, so we got again our 1/8 jack plugged into our auxiliary in. Okay, and then here we have our left and right mix. This is the same cable, and we plug those in. And so all the stuff that's playing in our mixer is coming out of this cable right into the into the speaker. We make sure our levels are up on our speaker, and we hear music. So let's hear some of our music here. Okay. And now we can control the sound from here. We can also control our levels from here. This particular mixer has 2 channels. Okay, let me just turn that down a bit. This particular mixer has 2 channels. We're in channel 1 right now, so our volume is controlled by channel 1, or it's controlled by the track where our computer is actually plugged into. And now because we have 2 of these plugged in, they're left and right, they're mono, meaning they only have 1 stripe, so you can only play left side or right side, one at a time. But if you have them both plugged in, you can play left and right at the same time, so it's in stereo. So that means if we go back to this channel, we are able to switch from right to left, or just have it right in the middle so it's balanced and we can hear both. So that's one setup. Okay, so let's stop this. Now for a DJ, if you're actually DJing, this setup is not necessarily the most ideal. For better sound, you're going to want Xlr, an Xlr cable. And they look like this. You can get it from any music store or any place that sells instruments. And the Xlr cable is thicker. So think of a straw. So this would be the straw versus a hose. What gives you more water? A hose, right? If you turn on a hose gives you more water than you would pushing water through a straw. So therefore, this is going to give you better sound quality because the cable is thicker. Okay? So we're going to unplug these. But this is still our output area. Right? This is still our output section. This little tiny area is our output. So we're going to plug in our Xlr here. And the other end of this Xlr, let's pull this out because we're not using it anymore, goes to the mixer. The mixer's mic in for this particular one. It's just the mixer's input. So it's the same thing. You're going to go from your output of your mixer to your input of your your mixer. All right, so nothing else changes. It's just the cable you're using we've changed. Okay, so let's play some music. Now the difference here too is because you're plugged in your Xlr, controlling your volume from here is one option, of course, and we know we can control it from the mixer, but what's even better is that we now have to control it from the master volume here. So again, you have control of your left and your right. Right now, we're only coming out of our left because we only have one Xlr plugged in. But if you plug them both in, then of course you can control your left and right. You can have speakers on one side of the room and the other side of the room and control how much volume is given to either, okay? Now if you have 3 or 4 different speakers, you'll notice that your speaker has a link out and a link in. When you want to connect to another speaker, what you need is, of course, is a stereo. This is a mono. I'm just showing it because I don't have a stereo. You need a stereo 1/4-inch jack to plug in to here, and then you need another stereo 1/4-inch jack to come out to the next speaker, and when you go to the next speaker, you plug it into the speakers in. So out from here into the next speaker. It allows you to link speakers. And you can actually link speakers even if the other speaker doesn't have power. You can link to the other speaker. You won't be able to hear it unless it has phantom power. Phantom power uses speaker cables to power a unit. These units don't have phantom power, so I'm not even going to get too into that, okay? All right, so that's it. That's our setup. I just showed you how to do it with an Xlr. I showed you how to do it with our 1/4 inch mono jacks and our, sorry about the shaky video, and our 1/8 jack in the auxiliary in. What you don't want to do is have them all plugged in at the same time, because what will happen is if you have these plugged in and you have your XLR plugged in, these will bypass the XLR. So the XLR won't actually play out. You have to have one or the other. You can't have two output sources for this particular setup. Okay? So it's one or the other, XLR or your Y cable. Okay? And that's it. I hope this helps.